Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I don't think I'm ever not gonna laugh at that, but today I'm using my microphone because I like to use the microphone, but I don't use it enough. I also don't know if I'm gonna put a music overlay on this, so if I don't, I hope that the reason that you stay is not for the music, just in case I don't put it on here. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about my March TBR. And again, I think we're just going to do the physical reads and not KU and Libby reads. Um, but if you guys want a video where I talk about what I like to read on KU and what I put on hold on Libby, I can do that too. Okay. Another side note, today I have coffee in my cup that I made. So if it's nasty, then I have to take accountability for that. I can't blame it on the coffee pods. Let's try. It's not nasty, but it's not delicious. All right, let's get into the first book on the TBR. So, the first book is War. I don't think there's a video on my channel where I read it, but I read the first book in the series. It's called Pestilence. Now, this series is called the Four Horsemen series, and I believe that the Four Horsemen are biblical. Um, and I don't know like their biblical story, but it might align loosely with the book. And as far as pestilence, when I read that one, it was about pestilence coming to the US, and everywhere he went, everyone died, right? And he ended up falling in love with a woman, and she got him to stop the plague that was going around and following him. And in the end of the book, he decides to stay human to be with his little girlfriend. And he tells her that, like, war, my brother, war is still coming. Now, from what I know about War's book, his book is set in Jerusalem. So that's interesting in itself. And I would also like to point out that there are Bible verses sprinkled into this book. So I mean, again, I can probably do some research and figure out how loose this is based. Um, but like the little synopses for the series, right, is pestilence, war, famine, death. The four horsemen riding their screaming steeds, racing to the corners of the world, four horsemen with the power to destroy all of humanity. They came to Earth and they came to end us all. Ooh, spooky. But this one, the female main character's name is Miriam, and Miriam says that she must make the ultimate choice: surrender to war and watch the fall of humankind fall. You know what I meant. Or sacrifice everything to stop him. And do you know what sacrifice everything to stop him means? And she's probably going to sleep with him at some point in the book. On to the next. Next book is A Fate Inked in Blood. Now, Danielle L. Jensen is the same author of um, the Abridged Kingdom series. I don't know if that's the name of the series, but she wrote those books, and I haven't read those books yet, but I've only heard good things. So when I saw this on Book of the Month, I made it my March pick because I thought that it'd be good. Like most things that I read, I'm going in so blind. I don't know much about it. Um, but the cover looked fun, and you know, I saw people talking about it on Instagram, so I said, why not? Okay, next book. Now, before I show you what this book is, I would like to say that this was one of my most anticipated reads. I don't know that that's true anymore, unfortunately. This book is The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. Now, for those of you that saw my Books to Newbie tag, you know that Olivia Blake wrote one of my favorite, if not my favorite book of all time, Alone with You in the Ether. And I loved the Atlas 6 when it came out. The problem that I'm facing now is that, for one, I'm not going to reread the first two books in the series, the Atlas 6 and the Atlas Paradox. I'm not going to reread those. But when I read the Atlas Paradox, I felt like I was getting lost in the sauce. I felt like I didn't know what was going on, um, and that there were just so many characters and so many, just too much happening. And people often critique Olive's writing and say that it's like pretentious and things like that. To each their own. But this was the first book that I read by her where I actually felt like, oh, I understand. This is a little bit too much. Um, but the Atlas Complex is the last book in the series, so I'm wrapping it up for, the sake of being able to say that I read the series. Maybe this one will be better than the second one, but I've only seen 3-star ratings or less, so I'm pretty scared. And if I feel like I want a DNF, then I'm not scared of DNF. Okay. Next book is you can't even see that. Hold on, let's adjust. Did you hear about Kitty Carr? Now, from what I've heard, this is like a black um Evelyn Hugo. Set in Hollywood. She's famous. I don't know what other aspects this has. It talks about the consequences of our choices across history and generations. Um, so this might be a little like The Vanishing Half, which we talked about in my March wrap up video. Just from reading a little bit on the back, that's kind of the vibes that I'm getting. So this has been on my shelf for a while. I got sent a gifted copy of this, but this was also a book of the month pick, and I feel like this is from about 4 or 5 months ago. So I've had this one for a long time. Um, but I think it'll be good. When I'm in the mood for some drama, I think I'm gonna pick this one up and hopefully have I don't want to say good time, but a good time. Okay, next book is Lore of the Wilds. Now, look at that. Look at that cover, okay? This is another one that I don't know much about. I think I should get that printed on a shirt because I never really know much about anything. Um, but I know that she's human, and I think both of them are fae, and they're bound to get up to some fun. And this is the first in a duology, I believe. But the cover really reminded me of Legendborn and Bloodmark, so I just felt as though I really needed to read it, no matter what is going on inside of there. I think it's going to be a good read. I'm excited for this. I have a hold for the audiobook that should be coming soon. Hopefully, I get it before the end of this month so that we can talk about it in the wrap up video. Next book is going to be a reread. This is called An American Marriage. Now, I have a friend that's reading this right now, and it's so funny because some of her reactions are just completely different to the ones that I was having. And I read this for the first time a year ago, so it kind of just made me think, maybe it's time for a reread. I also listened to the audiobook and I was driving the first time that I read this book, so I didn't get to annotate the way that I would want to. So I want to reread, I want to annotate. Um, but this is about Roy and Celestial. They are a married black couple living in the South in the 60s, maybe the 50s, but they're living in the South. And one night, and this happens at the very beginning of the book, Roy is basically accused of abusing a white woman, and he goes to jail, and you see sort of the consequences of an action that he didn't commit throughout the course of the book. Um, I think the title is a really, really good one and like super, super layered because of the fact that that was so many people's experiences with an American marriage, as far as like one action, one thing that maybe you didn't even do. In Roy's case, you didn't do. Um, affects sort of the pattern of your marriage and what happened. So I'm excited to reread this one. Um, it isn't the highest priority since again I've read it before, but I really would like to reread and actually annotate and talk about it more. So we'll see if I get to that this month. Next book is Sing Me to Sleep. This is another one that just look at the cover. Get get into her, okay? Like, she's gorge. This is Sirens, I think. Sirens and like royalty romance. Gonna be super duper fun. She is a siren, I think, and then she falls in love with like a prince. So there's forbidden romance. I I feel like I saw that this is the beginning of a series. I don't know if that's correct or not. So please don't take this to heart, but I think so. I think this is the beginning of a series that there are going to be other
Okay,
books to
so while
follow.
I was editing this video, I realized that at some point I must have turned the microphone off. So the rest of this, I'm going to be doing a voiceover while I'm editing. So it is what it is, I guess. I think I was just saying how I'm really excited to read this book, and I've actually started reading this book since I filmed this video, and she's fun. Okay, 2 more books left. The next one is A Winter's Promise. Um, this book has sat on my shelf for years. And honestly, I don't even know that I'd say, oh, I'm excited to read this. It's just one of those that, like, I'm tired of looking at it on my shelf. So I either need to read it or put it in like a little unhaul pile. I know that there are 4 books in this series, and I think the colors were just really pretty. Like they're all pastels and a yellow and a purple and all of these things. So I think that's why I was originally drawn to this book. But again, I know nothing about it. And I mean, I want to say that it's low priority, but I need to read it this month or else I just never will. And like I said, I'm tired of it being on my shelves. So I sped the rest of this up, and I honestly can't even imagine what I was saying that much about this freaking book. Anyway, last book, I think maybe not, but Cinderella is Dead. Um, Honestly, that's another one where get into the cover, get into the 4C. She's she's eating again. This is dystopian Cinderella retelling. I think that it's sapphic. Oh yeah, there we go. Get into the cover, get into the cover. I think that it's sapphic. Um I'm interested to see how this is going to be done. Like dystopian Cinderella sounds insane, but I think it'll be a good time. Okay, so those were all the books on my TBR for this month. And I know that when you're seeing this, it's probably like what, March 15th? So literally the middle of the month, but just pretend that it's March 1st. I think that's what I'm saying right now. It is. Just pretend that it's March 1st and we're seeing this and we can just keep it our little secret. This is kind of fun. This is like charades now. Um I hope that you enjoyed the video. If this is your first video on my channel, I suggest going back to watch the other 4 that I have now, because even though I think we're getting better with time, those ones are still some some hidden gems. So I think that you should go watch those. Um what am I saying right now? I was so enthused too. I hate that like I lost the audio. I'm just going to say let this be a reminder, kids, to if you're using a microphone, check and see if the microphone is on, maybe charge the microphone before you decide that you're going to film a video using a microphone. Anyway, close up shot, interesting enough. Like the video, comment down below if you've read any of these books. Let me know your thoughts because, again, we know that I go into most books blind. And subscribe to the channel if you have not. I think that's what I'm saying right now. I love having telepathy with myself. Anyway, I, as in me editing Cameron, am going to wrap up now and just say thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.